Hi, Ghost Keyboard here. Today I am presenting you the smallest mini PC I know in the market. Of course, we are talking about an Intel N series based mini PC. This mini PC is manufactured by Mele, which is the old G of small pocket-fit mini PCs. They have been around for years and pretty much kept the same case design over the past years, with the low entry-level Intel mobile chips. Here we have one of Mele's latest models. It's the Mele Quieter 4C. It's a fanless mini PC with the Intel Twin Lake N150 chip. Compared to the N100, the N150 has a slightly higher CPU clock at 3.6 GHz, compared to the 3.4 GHz of the N100 chip, so the improvement is relative in the term of performances. Still, the N150 shines in the low power consumption and low budget territory. But the Mele Quieter 4C mini PC add an extra value to this chip with its extra super small form factor and its fast soldered RAM that allow this model to be fanless. So we have here an absolute quiet device. The price of the Mele Quieter 4C with 16 GB and PCIe 3512 GB SSD is at $190 with the $30 coupon applied and the 10% off discount code that you can find in the video description. You can probably find cheaper N models, but it won't be as small, and it will probably come with SATA NVMe M2 storage. But here, Mele pre-installed faster PCIe 3 SSD storage. So, at $190, I think we are at a fair price with this model. One of the cool features of this model is that it has a USB Type-C port that supports 4K monitor display. It's not USB 4 though, but Type-C monitor display on these small Intel N series is a rare feature. Let's review the full port interface of this mini PC. Up front, there's the power button. On the side panel, we have one USB 3.2 Generation 2, one USB 3.2 Generation 1, and one USB 2 port. On the back panel, we have two HDMI 2.0 port, one USB Type-C port that support monitor display and data transfer, one micro SD card slot, one audio jack, and one USB Type-C for power input. The Mele Quieter 4C does come with a VESA mount and its 12-volt power adapter. As we have here soldered LPDDR4 RAM, there's not much hardware that can be upgraded except the storage that support both PCIe and SATA NVMe M2 up to 2 TB for the PCIe SSD and 6 TB for the SATA NVMe M2. Soldered RAM run at lower power than SO-DIMM RAM and have a lower heat emission than SO-DIMM RAM. With less heat, this device can operate fanless. However, you won't be able to push the TDP to 25 watt like the biggest N-series mini PCs. Default TDP is set at 8 watt but can be pushed up to 15 watt with BIOS setting that I will show you next. 15 watt TDP will have a significant impact on the performances of the CPU on this device. So I ran a full virus scan with Windows Defender and the result came clean with 0 threat found. So I am heading to Device Manager where I want to show you that we have our Intel N150 CPU running with its 4 cores. In Task Manager, we can see that our CPU is running under full load with 100% usage during the virus scan processing. Here I want to show you the specification of the oldest N100 Intel Serie and highlight the lowest CPU and GPU clock of the N100 at 3.4 and 0.75 GHz for the CPU and iGPU. So the Mele Quieter 4C has a bit more performances with higher clock speed. We can expect the biggest boost improvement at the iGPU level, as the N150 Intel Graphic iGPU is set at 1 GHz clock speed. Combined with its fast LPDDR5 RAM at 4800 MHz, the iGPU will get a higher bandwidth for graphic performance optimization. Out of the box, the Mele Quieter 4C TDP is set at its lowest at 8 watt. We are pulling the maximum TDP here during the virus scan, and the temperature is stable and range between 67 and 70 degrees Celsius, which is fine as the maximum temperature for the N150 is 105 degrees Celsius. At idle mode at 15 watt TDP, the temperature is in the low 50 degrees Celsius and power draw is around 4 to 5 watt. You can increase the performances of this mini PC by increasing the TDP. 8 watt is the lowest TDP. If you want to increase the TDP to 10 watt, You can do it without getting into the BIOS. You just need to navigate to Windows System Power Option setting and choose Best Performances. Here in CPU Z stress test, we can see the difference in CPU benchmark between both TDP setting with a significant benchmark score boost at 10 watt. For the maximum performance boost, you will need to get into the BIOS by holding F7 key when booting, then once into the BIOS, move to Advanced tab, then select Power and Performance. Then select CPU Power Management Control. Press Enter, then scroll down to View Configure Turbo option. Select it and press Enter. Then select Power Limit 1 Override and switch setting to Enable. Now change the value to 15,000 and leave time window to 0. Do the same thing for Power Limit Override 2 and change the value to 15,000. Then press Escape several times until you reach the main BIOS interface and select Save and Exit. Let's do another CPU stress now that we are at 15 watt and compare our results with previous lower TDP. So at 15 watt in this CPU stress test, we have boosted our CPU score to 1150 points, which is a huge 43% performance boost compared to 8 watt TDP and 21% compared to 10 watt TDP. So this little test is showing how important is TDP with this CPU. There is a downside though with 15 watt TDP. The temperature is significantly higher at 85 degrees Celsius. If we maintain the CPU at 15 watt for too long, we are going to cause CPU throttling and even crash the system. So 15 watt is fine if the CPU is not maintained at 15 watt for too long. I played Dirt 3 game previously, and the game was heavy on CPU usage, and the system crashed. So if you are looking for heavy light PC gaming, this system may not do the cut. However, this mini PC excel in low power consumption, web browsing, encoding with Intel QuickSync, which is super efficient in transcoding hardware optimization, retro console emulation, 4K streaming, or virtualization. Now we are moving to CPU Z single and multi-cores benchmark results at the 3 different TDP. If you are just web browsing or doing 4K playback, default 8 watt is fine. But if you are running apps or some more demanding retro console emulation, then increased TDP is highly recommended. Please could you take a moment to like the video or subscribe to the channel if you are appreciating the content? As my channel is really a small channel, I really need those push interaction to grow, thanks you. At Geekbench 6, it's the same drill. Results are showing how big is the TDP impact on performances. Now I am going to show that 4K playback isn't an issue with this model. The playback is smooth without any frame drop. The Mele N150 Quieter 4C is also good enough for virtualization like Ubuntu local web development. I have here my website project. It's going to be a cool platform where you can fast check all mini PC's brand, compared specs, price, leave comments, all of this in a few clicks. Now let's move to light PC gaming. As I said previously in this review, this model is not intended for gaming, and its 15 watt TDP temperature limitation is not allowing this system to play a large catalog of older PC games. However, it can handle some games like here The Sims 4 at 1080p resolution display and low setting. We don't have a stable 60 FPS, but the game is very playable. Now the next game is Hitman Blood Money with 15 watt TDP. Low setting at 1080p resolution. The game is running okay. However, the game can't maintain its FPS at 60 FPS. Here, power draw is pulling 12.0 volts, and the iGPU is at its maximum frequency at 1 GHz. The temperature is at 78 degrees Celsius, which is fine. Risk of crash is in the 90 degrees Celsius zone, which can happen with more CPU-demanding games. Now moving on to the next and last light PC game before heading to retro console emulation, here with Deus Ex Human Revolution. We are pretty much seeing the same sensor data values than previously. We are at 36 FPS average, but the game is playable as there is no stuttering nor lag freeze. Moving over now to where this super small form factor is excelling, which is retro console emulation. We start with Super Nintendo games, all run at 60 FPS, even with shaders. We are pulling under 10 watt and are at a comfortable 65 degrees Celsius. Now with Sega Genesis, another 16-bit gaming console, we are seeing the same data than previously with the Nintendo Super NES, cool temperatures and low power draw. CPU percentage usage is the key factor regarding the temperatures. The higher the usage will be, and the longer it stays at a high usage, and the higher will be the temperature, and the higher will be the risk of thermal throttling and system crash.
100, medium right, 150.
Sony PS2 emulation works pretty well. Here we are running God of War. Even though we are not at 60 FPS, the gameplay is smooth and enjoyable. The temperature is a bit higher. We are close to 80 degrees now.
Don't let him open the door!
Now moving over the Nintendo Wii U console emulation, we are here at the very limit of the Mele Quieter 4C, with a power draw close to a constant 15 watt. We are seeing the temperatures rising above 90 degrees Celsius. This is where we are going to witness some thermal throttling and some lag freeze in the game. I would not recommend to play at those temperatures even though we are still under the 105 degrees Celsius limit fixed by Intel. It's okay to reach 90 degree plus with peak temperature, but staying above 90 degrees for a prolonged period of time is not something that I would recommend. But that's my take. I know some people have a different opinion on this matter. So let's go through some pros and cons to wrap up the review. The pros are obviously the super small form factor and the fanless silence of this mini PC running Windows' latest OS or Linux distro, with the basic functionalities of a mini PC on such a small device is just amazing. It's hard to beat Mele when it comes to small dimensions and volume. Another pros is that Mele is in the business of SFF mini PC for a while. Mele seems to enjoy a solid reputation for these low-budget Intel mini PC models. Hardware-wise, Mele did not make any compromise on the RAM and storage to lower their production cost. Mele provided the latest LPDDR5 RAM and PCIe 3 storage SSD, and the last pros would be the fair price of this model with coupon applied, remember? About the cons. Well, the cons is due to the nature of this mini PC, which is fanless. The advantage of fanless is that there is no noise distraction, but it comes at the cost of power limitation. At 15 watt, the Mele Quieter 4C would work great unless CPU stress is maintained for too long. This will mostly happen during gaming session on PC gaming and potentially Nintendo Wii U emulation. Thanks you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.